أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My respected brothers and very dear sisters, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our Ramadan, our Siyam, our fasting, our Ibadat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala include our names amongst those Muslims who have been completely forgiven, inshallah, in this month. And inshallah, in a few days' time, maybe tomorrow night, I think, depending on the moon sighting, I was i'tikaf will start inshallah at this masjid. We have been going through a little booklet by Imam Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani entitled Munabbihat ala al-isti'dad li yawm al-ma'ad. That's the full title of the book. Yesterday we went and read one hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, just to refresh our minds very quickly. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, من أصبح وهو يشكو ضيق المعاش فكأنما يشكو ربه ومن أصبح لأمور الدنيا حزينا فقد أصبح ساخطا على الله ومن تواضع لغني لغناه ذهب ثلثا دينه. The one who wakes up in the morning and complains about the scarcity of his livelihood, it is as though he is complaining against his Lord. The one who wakes up and is sad over the affairs of this world, his own world, it is as though he has woken up angry with Allah. And the one who humbles himself in front of a rich man because of his wealth will have lost 2/3 of his religion. This was the hadith we went through. With similar wordings, this hadith also exists or recorded by Imam al-Bayhaqi in his Shu'ab al-Iman. Also in the Hilya, you would find another version of this hadith. Now today, inshallah, we will look at, inshallah, some of the sayings of the Khulafa al-Rashidun. These are the star pupils of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. عن أبي بكر الصديق رضي الله تعالى عنه قال أنه قال ثلاث لا يدرك ويدرك بثلاث الغنى بالمنى والشباب بالخطاب والصحة بالأدوية. There are three things which can never be attained through three other things, by three. What are those three things? You can never become rich by just dreaming about it. Hope. I'm going to become rich. Doesn't happen. What does that mean? You need to have an objective, you need to have a strategy, planning, and you need to know how to run a business, and inshallah, and if it's written in your rizq, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open doors for you and you will eventually become rich, if Allah wanted. But you need to do the hard work. You need to do the hard work. One of our mashayikh, he says, if you fulfill 4 conditions, you will definitely become rich. If you don't, he says, if you don't, the proven formula, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want you to become rich, this is besides the point, yes? If you do the right things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim, success. 4 things. If you don't, he says, if we're telling you something a fib, you come to our grave and dig our bones up and crash them. It's an oath. He's speaking with certainty. What is it? He says, you must first know your trade. Absolutely. Inside out. So you want to go into printing business, you've got no training in printing and you want to become a successful printer, you've got Buckley's chance. You need to become an expert in printing, your field. Correct? Secondly, you need to know your enemies, as in competition, the market, 100%. What's in, what's out, what is modern, what is antique, what is relevant, what is not relevant. Yes? Who are the new players and who are the not. Thirdly, you must keep your promise. If you are producing something and you say to your customer or client, Wednesday afternoon, 2 p.m., it'll be ready, you need to make sure that it is 100% at 2 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, not a minute late. You need to keep your promise. And fourthly, he says, you need to start your work before your workers. You have to open with Bismillah in the morning, your factory, your office, before your workers come. And you shall be the last one to leave and lock the door with Bismillah. You can't do this remote control. I'll be home, I'll be I'll be there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where they start at 6 and nobody knows what they're doing. So you need to be physically there. So this is for dunyawi success. Otherwise, I want to become rich one day and I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. If you're not doing anything, it's not going to happen. As the star pupil of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, you cannot become rich, you cannot become wealthy just with muna, or tamanna, or constantly hoping. And he says, bishababu bil khidab. You cannot attain youthhood with dyeing your hair. Young man is a young man, young woman is a young woman. If you are above the age of 40, you go downhill. Oh, I'm going to put this on, I'm going to have this plastic surgery, I'm going to have this, I'm young. You're just fooling yourself. Your body, your packaging, by law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, constantly erodes. Allah is preparing you for such end, where you need to leave this world. You can't stay young by, dyeing your hair. Today I was at a meeting, subhanallah, the guy I used to know for 40 years, he looks exactly the same. But this time I had the opportunity of seeing him close to me. Then I saw his hair is completely dyed in pure jet black. His beard is dyed in jet black. His mustache is dyed in jet black. And he's using all the creams on his face. I said, Ya Latif, this is a delusional state. A young person is not in need of dyeing hair, unless they're trying new fashion. Yeah, blonde today, purple yesterday, and something else the day after. Young people don't have to dye their hair. Islamically, it is haram for men to dye their beard or their hair with absolute black. Other colors, no problem. Maybe henna, but you cannot be completely dark black. You cannot hide or trying to hide your whites. It's part of life. You need to grow. Ibrahim alayhi salam made an agreement with Malakul Maut. He says, you better tell me before you come so I can be ready. He said, okay, no problem. And when the time of his death came, Malakul Maut appeared. He says, I'm here to take the amana. He said, what do you mean? You broke a promise. You said you were going to tell me. much in advance, that's so I can prepare myself. He doesn't need any preparation. He is Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is the story, lesson for us. He says, I did send you messengers, clear messages. He says, what messages? And what messages? He says, the first message was that grey hair that began to appear on your beard and hair. That was the first message. Secondly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took you out of the autopilot to manual. Your body is not now everything hurts. You discover pains here and there. Your strength is gone. On the third one, I came myself. What else do you need? Everybody goes through this. So, being young is being young. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know that when we are in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to ask us how we spend our lives. But within this, our lives, the section on youthhood is going to be questioned separately. Because being a young person and in ita'ah, in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a special status. Therefore, Allah will ask you, what have you done until the age of 40? In Islam, youthhood is until the age of 40. 40 onwards is your middle age. Yes? So what have you done until 40? And Imam Ghazali rahimahullah says, if a person did not, when he made a muhasabah, he makes an audit and sees that his good deeds are not more than his bad deeds at the age of 40, that person is in a state of loss. In other words, until the age of 40, you're supposed to make your biggest wealth in hasana. Similarly, if you have not started any business until the age of 40, you never earned a single cent and you want to become rich afterwards, how is that going to work? Unless you got Bitcoin or something, I don't know, whatever nonsense that is. Yes? But you need to do your work when you're younger, when you have the energy, to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Many people, when it comes to da'wah work, I'm busy at the moment, inshallah I'll do it after. I'm too busy, I'm working 2 shifts a day, I'm looking after my family, I'm going to build a house, I'm going to build this. And when he discovers that he's at the age of 55, 60, he says, I'm too old now, let the young people do it. It's just a delusional state. So you can't maintain your youth by dyeing your hair. And the last one he says, وَالصُّحَّةُ بِالْأَدْوِيَّةِ, and there is no health with medication. Meaning, a healthy person doesn't need medication. I'm very strong, healthy, I'm taking 7 different tablets a day. You're not healthy, you are sick as. See, he says, a sick person requires medication. A good, healthy person doesn't need a medication. So you can't attain your health with medication. If you are taking medication, you're already sick. عن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه أنه قال حسن التودد إلى الناس نصف العقل حسن السؤال نصف العلم وحسن التدبير نصف المعيشة. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu says, good interaction with people, good akhlaq, good manners, the way you deal with people in a very amicable manner, in a manner that reflects your deen, your principles, you're honest, smiling. A Muslim, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, a person whose sides are soft, meaning he's a very approachable person, down to earth. He's not a person where people, when they say, oh, he's coming, I'm going that way, don't tell them I'm here. Why? He's an obnoxious person. His behavior stinks. That's not a good Muslim. Every good Muslim will have most amazing akhlaq. He interacts with people, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Honest, dignified, truthful, Yes? With pure manner. Absolutely ethical. But this ethic is based on Islam, not their concept of ethics. Yes? With absolute morality. You interact with people in a manner that is perfect, according to Islam. He says this is half of intellect. If you're not smart, you'll never be able to do this. Only smart people will interact with everybody around them in a good manner. Then he says, good questioning is half of ilm, knowledge. If you know what questions to ask, you'll progress in that science, in that knowledge. If you're not asking the right questions, you're wasting the time of the teacher as well as you're wasting your own time. We're sitting in a gathering, one person asks, Shaykh, from a distance, yeah? Is Coca-Cola haram? The Shaykh is a big alim, allama, and the person is asking a question. What kind of stupid question is that? What benefit that kind of question have on you or anybody? And apparently he's very famous for asking that question to every Shaykh. Is riba haram? Interest haram? Don't you know? How many more shuyukh that you need to sit in front of and ask this question? So the question that you ask must be intelligent question. Something with the purpose. Your intention has to be pure in the first place for learning, acquiring knowledge. Your intention must be pure and with the intention of learning. With the intention of learning. Jibreel alayhi salam, when he came, with the intention of teaching Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he came as a teacher in the human form, but he was asking such questions that it became such a central teaching pillars in our deen, so pivotal in Islam. The Jibreel hadith. وَمَا الْإِسْلَامِ وَمَا الْإِيمَانِ وَمَا الْإِحْسَانِ. What is Islam? What is Iman? What is Ihsan? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained in such manner that Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anh says, if Islam, everything that we lost except this hadith, he says we can resurrect Islam again. Look at the questioner and look at the one who's being questioned and look at the way it is taught. So when we ask questions, some people like to hold the microphone. I think, who cares about what you think? There's manners. If you have a thinking, you already know why are you asking question. Question is al-ilmu bit-ta'allum. Ta'lim can only happen if you can ask right questions. Asking the right questions, half of knowledge. In other words, you're in the path. They said, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, how did you attain this much knowledge? How come you know so much? He said, I was never afraid to ask questions. I asked, but he's such a super intelligent person that he asked all the right questions. All the right questions. So good questioning is half of knowledge. And he says, وَحُسْنُ التَّدْبِيرِ نُصْفُ الْمَعِيشَةِ. Good planning is half of sustenance. What does that mean? You have a limited budget. You earn such and such dollars in a week. If you do not budget, if you do not plan, what's going to happen before the end of the week? You are stranded. You'll be asking for money from other people. You need to learn how to plan. Your ma'isha, your earning, your sustenance, definitely set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you need to plan as a human being. They, both Arabs and Turks and everybody else has the same, I think, proverb. You must stretch your leg according to length of your duna. If your duna is what? Short, you don't stretch your legs. It'll be all out. You'll catch cold. You need to cover yourself according to length of your duna or your blanket. If your blanket is big, no problem, lie down underneath. Similarly, if you do not plan, failing to plan is planning to fail. A life without a strategy a plan and that you adhere to is nothing more than a wishful thinking. You can apply this to every facet of our life. If it's business, if you don't have a plan, strategy, and if you don't make the right effort, you'll never succeed in anything. Akhirah is no exception. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Al-aqilu, the most intelligent one, is the one who controls his nafs, his desires, and he prepares for the akhirah constantly. Al-ajizu, the incapacitated fool, says Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gives into everything that his nafs wants, all and everything that his nafs wants, and he makes tamanna, he hopes, oh Allah will put me in the Jannah, inshallah, I'm just a little Muslim, He'll put me in the Jannah. He does not obey Allah, he does not fulfill his fara'id, he does not follow anything, and yet he hopes for Jannah. That's foolish. Similarly, a person who overspends beyond his means, a person overspends his earning, he will be always in debt. Always in debt. So good planning is half of sustenance, management. Uthman radiallahu anhu. عن عثمان رضي الله عنه أنه قال من ترك الدنيا أحب الله تعالى ومن ترك الذنوب أحب الملائكة ومن حسم الطمع عن المسلمين أحب المسلمين. عثمان رضي الله عنه ذو الجناحين says, the one who leaves this dunya, doesn't allow this dunya to enter into his heart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the exalted, will love him. When you become zahid, when you detach your heart from the love of this dunya, Allah will love you. The one who leaves ma'asiyah, his sins, he has taqwa, in other words, he controls his desires, he doesn't give in to temptation, the malaika will love him. Everything that we do, angels write. When we do something wrong, what happens? The angels on the left wants to write. And the angel of the right, who's in charge, is the boss, he says, wait. In the hadith, it says 6 hours. It says, wait for 6 hours. If he makes tawbah, in the meantime, he corrects himself, he says, not a problem. But if he doesn't, he feels sad, he says, write it down as a sin. It'll be written. Absolutely. If a person, Uthman radiallahu anhu says, if a person abandons sins, the malaika, and all the malaika of course, will love him. Will love him. And the one who has no craving for the possessions of Muslims, he's not cheating other people, he's rich, I want to have his money, I want to have this, I want to cheat him, he hankers after the possessions of Muslims by any means he wants to get. Says if he's not doing this, people feel safe in terms of their wealth, they trust you, you're trustworthy, then he says all the Muslims will love him. As simple as this. So everybody has a different criteria. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at whether you love this dunya or not. If you don't love the dunya, you have zuhd and taqwa in your heart, Allah loves you. And if you keep away from the sins, the malaika love you. And if you keep away from tama', greed, yes, caveat towards the people's wealth or people's possessions, and people say he's a trustworthy person, we love him. Simple. And lastly, عن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه أنه قال أن من نعيم الدنيا يكفيك الإسلام نعمة وأن من الشغل يكفيك الطاعة شغلا وَأَنَّ مِنَ الْعِبْرَةِ يَكْفِيكَ الْمَوْتُ عِبْرَةً. Subhanallah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, I am the city of knowledge, and Ali karramallahu wajha is the door. Such a wise person, Imam Ali karramallahu wajha. He says, surely from the blessings of this world, amongst the ni'mats of this world, sufficient is Islam as a ni'mah. The greatest gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is hidayah, guidance. Can you imagine? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, not in a Muslim family. We were born in Sao Paulo, or somewhere in Alaska, somewhere in Himalayas, into a Buddhist family, or somewhere in Papua New Guinea, into a pagan family. Yes, in the jungles. Or somewhere else for that matter, some Christian family, some Jewish family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favored us by bringing us into this world from a Muslim family. So that we are born, came into this world as a Muslim. This is the greatest ni'mah. Alhamdulillah ala ni'matil Islam, we say. Allah, thank you for the greatest gift of yours, Islam. So Imam Ali says, from the blessings of this dunya, the greatest gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatest blessing is the ni'mah of Islam. And surely from the multitude of occupations, jobs, how to engage your life, how to keep yourself busy, sufficient is ita'ah, ibadah, obedience as a preoccupation for a Muslim. When a Muslim has the right intention, everything becomes an act of worship. This is only a gift to a Muslim. You go into work, it's an ibadah. You stay at home and read Quran, an ibadah. Dhikrullah is an ibadah. Salat is an ibadah. Spending time with your spouse is ibadah without the harams. Taking care of your children, ibadah. Sleeping is an ibadah. Everything can be an ibadah. And if you're looking for to preoccupy yourself, the greatest ni'mah amongst all these preoccupations that human beings take upon themselves, sufficient is obedience as a preoccupation. And surely, he says, the third one, from the causes for reflection, to think, to discern, to reflect upon, to take some wisdom, to bring you back onto earth from this, big-headed state that you are delusional state. It says, sufficient is death as a cause. Think of death. Dhikrul maut is an ibadah. Rabatatul maut is an ibadah. To sit down every day, put aside about 20 minutes, and go through the process of death, applying to you, not other people. You're not wishing upon the only, let him die, somebody else die. No. My mother-in-law die, my father-in-law die, my cousin die, No, none of those. You have to imagine, just this is your last moment. Malakul Maut just appeared before you. Oh, but I'm not ready. Tough luck. Because he never calls you. He never gives you a warning. He never makes an appointment. Correct? He comes to you. And you need to think. Imagine you're in that state. Maybe, and imagine if you're a good Muslim, you're in a wudu. You just did your Isha or your Salat, finished. You are perhaps going to Hajj or Umrah or going to the masjid in the process or in the masjid. Just imagine that Malakul Maut comes. You lie down and give your last breath in a shahada. Allah is happy with you. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. When you do this, then what happens? Oh, they inform your family, your friends, the ambulance comes, they take you to hospital, doctors examine you, they declare you dead, they look at your eyes and everything else, but your ruh is watching. The family, your wife, your children, they're all crying, they inform the bad news to everybody. Everybody gets ready for janazah. Yes, they pray your janazah, but they take you to washing. And you're just watching everything, just like real time. Virtual reality, real time. Not virtual time, real time. Then they take you to Faulkner, if you're living in this area, or they see that pit hole, that hole, that grave that you used to come and see from a distance and say, Bismillah. You take a, shovel earth to your friend. You never internalized it, you never even thought about it. It's your turn. You say, oh no, you're already in kafan. They lower you down, Bismillah, ala millati Ibrahim alayhi salam, ala millati Islam. Yes, they put you in. And your best friends, the ones who loves you, they begin to shove that earth onto you again. Then what happens? Once everybody's gone, Malakul Maut is already gone, finished. Munkar and Nakir comes around. They question you. Man Rabbuka, wa ma dinuka, wa ma nabiyuka, wa ma kitabuka. Yes? They ask you these questions and you answer. And depending on whether you're a good Muslim or bad Muslim, whether it becomes one of the pitfalls of Jahannam or one of the gardens of Jannah, until the day of judgment. And you wake up. And billions of people, progeny of Adam alayhi salam, are resurrected on the resurrection play, mahshar grounds. And you are guided towards where? To the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 50,000 years. The sufferings of the people. Then your turn comes up. And you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your deeds are weighed, mizan, scales. Then after that, depending on the outcome, and you are either ushered towards the Jannah or Jahannam, na'udhu billah. Then you see the Sirat, passing over the Sirat, how dark it is, how difficult it is, the sufferings. And eventually, inshallah, you either go to Jahannam, fall into Jahannam, na'udhu billah, or you go to Jannah. And right at that moment, when you enter into Jannah, you see how beautiful it is. Right at that moment, you say to your nafs, Ya nafsi, you're not dead yet. Wallahi, this will happen. Come to your senses. Come to yourself. This life is not worth breaking anybody's heart. This life is not worthy of worship except Allah. The smartest person is the one who prepares for his hereafter without neglecting his dunya. You work for this dunya as if you're never going to die. But you prepare for akhirah as if tomorrow is your death day. So you keep that balance and work, come to your senses. So this dhikr of maut is the greatest reminder. Ali Karramallahu says, if you want to take ibrah from something, think of death. Death is the hadimul ladhat. In the hadith it says, the break of joys. Puts your legs, feet back firmly on the ground, not high in the cloud 9 and cloud 79. You come back. So to think of dhikr is an ibadah. It is suggested in our religion, our mashayikh teach us, that we must do rawat al-dhikr, the rawat al-maut. We must do so, dhikr al-maut, on regular basis, so that it reminds us of our goal, objective, focus on it. Ilahi anta maqsoodi wa ridaka matlubi. Ya Rabbi, let me die amongst the Muslims. Let me die in a state of Islam. Ya Rabbi, thank you for the ni'mat al-Islam. Thank you for the hidayah. Thank you for everything that you've given to me. I don't deserve anything, but you are the one who gave me everything. Ya Rabbi, include my names amongst the Hammadun, the ones who praise you most. Amongst the Shakirun, or the Shakirin, the people who always be grateful to you, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Allow me to live a decent life, an honorable life, a dignified life, as a Muslim life, and be beneficial to others, never cause any harm to anybody, never cheat the rights of any right of any human being, Muslim or non-Muslim. Let me live in a decent, straightforward life, and let me come to you in a state that your rida is upon me, that you're pleased with me. This is the dream of a Muslim. That's why we do Ramadan. We want to be forgiven. We want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with us before we die. So if you want to think, to reflect on something serious, something that will give you the best medicine, think of death on a regular basis. Death is not taboo in Islam. Death is as real as the breath that we just take. There is this hadi hayat al-dunya, and there is another life after death called alamul barzakh. Yes, the grave life. And after that, عالم الآخرة, eternal life in the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us on صراط المستقيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. الفاتحة.